just got back from my first time going to mass. I'm still learning, obviously. I'm still very new to all this, so don't come for me, please, if I say something wrong. I honestly have been drawn to Catholicism since coming back to Christianity. I put off going to mass for a while just because every time I would mention it to one of my Protestant peers, they would look at me like I just ran over their dog in my Hyundai Tucson. Yes, that's a joke, but it's really not an exaggeration. A lot of Protestants do not play about Catholicism, which is just strange to me because every Catholic I've told that I'm going to Protestant church, they're just like, okay, cool, have fun. And that's a generalization, but that is my experience. There does seem to be this very large rift. When I told someone that I was gonna go to mass, he was like, jokingly, but he was like, okay, have fun, idolater. And I was like, dude, like the church we're going to right now, like the praise band is up there having like a Pitch Perfect style riff off, trying to like out sing each other. I was going to a non-denominational church, so I think it was a very stark contrast between the non-denom church and the Catholic church. So one thing I really liked was there was no time wasted on personal anecdotes, metaphors, personal stories. I think those can be great. Sometimes I would rather just get into the scripture and like get into the meat of it instead of hearing about something that happened to you and how work is really like church if you think about it and blah blah blah. I understand that metaphors can make it easier to understand, but sometimes I think those bother me. I don't know, sorry, I'm judging. I know I'm not supposed to do that. Another thing I liked was the tradition. Obviously I couldn't participate in a lot of it because I'm very new to it and not that educated on what all of it means. I did like the traditional music. That was one thing at my Protestant church that, I mean, I mentioned briefly earlier, but it really did bother me. And I understand all worship is worship. I'm assuming they have good intentions, but at the non-denom church I was going to, it truly felt like an American Idol audition, the praise band. And like it was confusing, like it wasn't adding to the worship. Like people would get confused because the guy singing would be like adding little like runs like in between verses, and people would be like looking at each other like, wait, like what verse are we on? Because he's just like ad-libbing, which is like fine, not my style. They did announcements at the end of the Catholic Mass. They kept that very brief. That was like the only thing that they did that was not straight from the text or a hymn. I guess the main thing I noticed is that a lot of Protestant churches that I went to or looked at online seem to emphasize fun as being sort of a key point of the service. You know, we have the concert style praise band, we have the Chuck E. Cheese water slide theme park camping extravaganza retreat. That's $3,000. I'm being mean. I need to calm down. There was just a lot of emphasis on like, how can we benefit from church? How can we feel good? I think church should be fun in a way, maybe. I think it should be like rejuvenating. You should feel close to God afterwards. You should feel like refreshed and stronger in your faith. But I don't necessarily think it should be self-serving. I don't know. Now I'm sounding preachy, but like, do you know what I mean? It just felt to me a little bit like the plot had been lost in a lot of the churches that I was going to, even in high school. Like some of the Protestant stuff. We'd have chapel 3 days a week in high school, and it was always just these speakers, like wannabe stand-up comedians or like telling really just like sad stories. Again, I'm judging. I know I'm not supposed to, but like it didn't even feel like I was at church. It just sort of felt like I was like at a motivational speaking event. I don't know. I mean, I could start taking the Catholic classes and be like, oh, I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore, you know? But I did like it a lot better. And I think we need to change the narrative a little bit of Catholicism. Like the plank in your own eye or whatever. They really don't like Catholics, a lot of people. I'm generalizing again. Are you doing it 100% right either? Because like, I don't think so. Okay, bye. That was a rant.